So we said, please.
Hey, good evening and welcome to the City of Sunbury Council meeting. It's June 18th, 2024, 7:30 p.m. Would you please join me in a moment of silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance? Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor St. John,
Here.
Mr. Capel,
Here.
Ms. Strayer, here, Mr. Grumney,
Here.
Mr. Martin,
Here.
Mrs. Cooper, here, and Mr. Neff is absent.
All right, thank you. We are going to start the evening with a public hearing. This is related to the establishment of the Sunbury East New Community Authority. I would like to pass it to our legal counsel who will cover some ground rules related to public hearings and potentially accept or enter exhibits in.
Thank you, Mayor. So it's public hearing. We have a court reporter. So if you are going to testify tonight, whether you think you might, doesn't require you to, doesn't obligate you to, but if you think you might, please stand and raise your right hand to be sworn by the court reporter. If you don't do it now and then you change your mind, we're going to have to stop and do it later. So again, if you think you might, just stand and raise your right hand just in case.
You swear or affirm that the testimony you'll present will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
David Breen, Law Director. I'd like to mark as exhibits for the public hearing. We've got our several exhibits. There's Exhibit A, which is the public notice. Exhibit B is the petition and all the attachments for the Sunbury East New Community Authority, NCA. Exhibit C is the notice of public hearing, the proof of publication. We've also got Exhibit D, which is an email dated Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024 from City of Sunbury resident Paul Holler that he asked to be admitted and submitted as part of the record. So with the permission, I guess we are the applicant, so we don't really have an applicant. So we're going to admit them
That's right.
as exhibits. And then we can see if there's anybody that would like to testify about this public hearing on this matter.
All right, thank you. At this point, I'd like to open it up to any members of the public that would wish to speak related to the establishment of the Sunbury East New Community Authority. All right, there's no public comment. At this point, I believe we're looking to potentially close the public hearing.
Correct.
So I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second by Mr. Capel. Discussion. Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Ms. Strayer, yes, Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper, yes, Mr. Martin,
Yes.
6 yeas.
Sarah, thank you. All right,
Good to
we do have minutes to approve from the June 5th, 2024 meeting.
Motion.
Got a
To approve.
motion by Mrs. Cooper.
Second.
We got a second by Mr. Grumney. Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Cooper, yes, Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Ms. Strayer,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Abstain.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
5 yeas.
All right, due to the temperature in this chambers, I am speaking at 1.25x speed tonight. So if you're listening at home later, slow it down and you'll be able to interpret everything that I'm saying. We're on to the visitors section. I would like to open it up to any visitors in the audience that would like to speak with City Council. All right, thank you. We are on to committee reports. Mr. Martin.
Nothing to report.
Mr. Cooper.
Nothing to report. There's an events committee meeting Thursday.
All right, thank you. Mr. Capel.
Nothing here.
Mr. Grumney.
Yes, we had a finance committee meeting this evening at 6:30 and talked about many topics. Thanks to Daryl and Ms. Steffen, Mr. Hennessy, Ms. Steffen for their input. We talked about the debt profile annual executive summary, which is required to be reviewed annually, including projects, loans, revenue, principal and interest. So just to show Sunbury's financial position. Very thorough report on that. Our credit card reward policy, just highlighting that when the credit card does earn a reward, that does go back into the general fund for the city. We are in the process of getting ready to purchase furniture for the municipal building and the police department. I do want to note, and I did say this in the meeting, we'll reiterate that I feel the city's been very responsible with its spending for the furniture. Thanks to staff who looked to the Delaware Sheriff's County Department, who had some furniture, and they were kind enough to let us have about $40,000 worth of furniture, saving the city $40,000. And the furniture we did need to purchase came in $10,000 under budget. So great job to the city for that due diligence. Also, something we've been talking about for a long time, Sunbury Estates concrete and tree repair and removal. And that work is actually going to begin this summer with the concrete on the sidewalks and tree removal and replacement beginning, I believe, in the fall. So that's good to hear. We also talked about the RETA subpoenas. We have about 819 people that have lived in Sunbury, owed RETA, and have not responded to the letters that have been sent out. And so we're going to continue to pursue and try to find those individuals to make them aware of their RETA obligation for the city. And then we had a audit report, a biannual audit report for the 22-23 year. With some minor adjustments and corrections, but for the most part, a very, very good report. And thanks to Ms. Steffen for having that conducted and making sure that we are doing the things we need to do on our financial statements. And then we concluded with just some monthly activities, agenda items we cover, which is year-to-date reports, book reconciliation, and check reviews. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Ms. Jerry.
I have nothing.
All right, we're on to the police report. Officer Holden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's a lot of construction going on this week. I would like to update you that the concrete pad for the HVAC in the rear of the building has been poured. Our parking area under the roof has been poured. The metal in the roof siding should be in the next 2 weeks. We were given approval by the inspector to move the furniture in the week of June 25th to start putting the offices and workstations together. A few things going on this week. The flooring crew will be in between the 17th and the 22nd. Edge Technologies pulling data drops also on the 17th through the 19th. Overhead Door Company will be in on 17th and 19th. And then we're scheduled for a furniture delivery on June 25th through the 28th. So the next few weeks are going to be very busy for us. We are working with the Tim Lally Chevrolet to get our hands on a new cruiser. We've been working on this since the first of the year. They called us last week and there was 4 Silverados that came in unexpectedly. And they said we could possibly get our hands on one of those. The new sergeant's process has been completed. We will be announcing the decision on Friday, June 21st. We again thank everyone that helped us with that process. We also would like to welcome back Officer Collins from paternity leave. We have another officer off on maternity leave for the next 10 weeks with the birth of her second child. Within the next 2 weeks, we expect the third officer to be off on a paternity leave as well. With that being said, we would like to congratulate Officer Collins and Officer Belcher on their 2 beautiful young girls. And I'm open to answer any questions you guys got. That's it for the report.
We have a healthy department.
We do.
That's good. Excellent. Anything for the folks? All right, just right around the corner, council meeting. And then we have peak season for our officers that weekend, July 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. So keep them in, them and their families in our thoughts and prayers. We truly appreciate all you do for our community, especially when you're sacrificing your time with your family to keep our families safe. So thank you very much.
Can I piggyback off that for one thing real quick?
Yes, please.
I'd like to let the public know that it is the summer. It can get very busy for us. You guys can help us deter potential crime that comes in by closing your garage doors, locking your vehicles, locking your homes would be very helpful to us. So I'd like to see that happen.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, we are on to the administrator report, Mr. Hennessy.
All right, so two things really quickly. One, I just want to, we talked a little bit about the reservoir park and the lower levels of water. I did just want to report that we have been able to successfully, we believe, transfer water over into reservoir number 2. We do think that the dock will be attached and ready to use at the end of next week. And with that, after that, I think we'll probably try to schedule maybe some kind of a ribbon cutting or something with some leadership just to celebrate this great new addition to our park. So that's the one thing. And then the other thing is I did place on your at your desk a map, trying to use this as maybe a way to kind of help you as we work through the agenda, identify the locations of these projects. So as we go through it, I may point out to the map kind of where that parcel is. So we'll see if you like this. If you don't, we can always try another strategy. So that's it, unless you've got questions.
Any questions for Mr. Hennessy?
Oh, I just wanted to say real quick, just a quick shout out to your services department and to Amber. I had contacted Amber and said, hey, did anyone turn in a pair of glasses? And Amber's like, no, but let me reach out to the police and let me reach out to the services and see if anyone's turned any in or if services found them. And you know what? I think it was that day, Amber sent me a picture that the services department sent her of my daughter's glasses that she lost on the square, and I got them back. So thank you to the services
nice.
department and Amber.
That's all.
Yeah,
That's great. Thank you. Great work.
yeah,
That's Sunbury.
yeah.
Daryl, at first glance, love this, by the way.
Yeah.
The accompanying exhibit visuals. Thank you. All right, we're on to the engineer's report. Mr. Whited.
Thank you. There's very little on this report that wasn't on the report for the last meeting, and in the interest of the climate, I will just answer questions.
Any questions or comments?
No questions?
Thank you very much, Mr. White.
You're welcome.
All right, we are on to resolutions, no third readings, no second readings. We do have three first readings, 2 of which need passed. Resolution number 2024.09, resolution as required by Ohio Revised Code 709.023C, setting forth municipal services that will be provided to 6.4 plus or minus acres of land in Berlin Township, Delaware County, Ohio, if annexed to the city of Sunbury, Ohio. There's a statutory deadline that we need to act within, and this is that window. All right. Anything else staff would like to add?
Yep, just to draw your attention to the map, it's on page 1. You can see it's the parcel just immediately north of the ravines at Meadow Ridge. So that's the location of this request.
Okay. All right, we're just looking for I'll make the motion to approve resolution number 2024.09.
Second?
We're gonna need a motion on suspension of the meeting.
I retract my motion on the approval of the resolution.
I track my second.
Oh, thank you. I'd like to make a motion on suspension of the rules.
Second?
Second by Mr. Grumney. Discussion. Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. Strayer,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
6 yeas.
All right, I'll make a motion on the resolution that is 2024.09.
Second?
Second by Mr. Grumney. Discussion. Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Ms. Strayer. Yes. Mr. Capel,
Yes.
6 yeas.
All right, and then we have a resolution number 2024.10, a resolution determining that the consent to the expansion of the Sunbury New Community Authority District to include the Eagle Creek development complies with the requirements of section 349.03 of the Ohio Revised Code, and to fix a date and place for a public hearing on such expansion and declaring an emergency.
So in the resolution, section 2 does indicate the date and location proposed for the public hearing. So that's the July 17th, 2024 council meeting, 7:30 here in the council chambers. And this is, you may remember, we've had a couple of Eagle Creek requests. This is the first Eagle Creek, the northern properties. So it's to add those properties to the NCP.
I just had one technical question. I thought resolutions didn't require emergencies, but we've got emergency language on this.
We do not, yes, it does not, you do not need to declare the emergency. You can shut that from it. You're right.
Okay. All right, we'll strike that when the resolution comes up for approval, but I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules on resolution number 2024.10.
I'll second.
We got a second by Mrs. Cooper. Discussion?
Yes, hold on. When you say suspend the rules, what do you mean?
It means that we're suspending the 3 reading rule.
It only needs 1 reading. We don't have to do all 3 readings.
And from what I understand, this needs passed. We need to set a public hearing, correct?
Right. We do.
Again, based on Ohio Revised Code, there's certain
Yes.
timeframes we have to take action.
Yep.
And I don't have the deadlines in front of me, but there's no other meeting. We would have to schedule another council meeting to meet the statutory requirement.
We would. There's a 3rd meeting in July. We could technically do it then, but this lines up nicely with our regularly scheduled meetings.
All right, I think we've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion or comments?
This is just for the organization of the board.
This is for suspension of the rules on resolution 2024.10.
Maybe,
There's an existing
Yeah.
NCA freeway. And these property owners have petitioned us. They said, as a part of our development agreement with you, we committed to pay additional millage. All the properties out there were requiring to participate in NCA and pay their fair share to the public improvements that are required in the area. So this is part of their contractual commitment to us to add the property to the NCA. So we're not forming a board or creating an NCA. We're acting on their request to please add our property to the NCA. The property then is subject to additional tax millage that goes into the NCA, and that NCA uses that millage to pay for public infrastructure in the area. Specifically, there's a turn lane into the development that was required for safety purposes, get the residents in and out safely. And then there's also the interchange improvements, which have a price tag of who knows what at this point. At one point, it was $120 million. I'm assuming it's more than that now. But this is the property being added to that to be able to pay for it. And we've also been warned by them, hey, we're looking to get these houses sold. We have people that need housing out there. We're looking to build houses, get them sold. This has to be done before they can move forward with that process. So there's statutory requirements that we act quickly, and there's the real world. People want to buy houses out there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call?
Mary St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper? Yes. Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Grumney?
Yes.
Mr. Ayer?
Yes.
Mr. Capel?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion on resolution 2024.10.
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Cooper. Discussion? Roll call?
Mary St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Grumney?
Yes.
Mr. Ayer?
Yes.
Mr. Capel?
Yes.
Yes.
Are we still on first readings of resolutions? This item also just contemplate striking the emergency. I'll read the resolution now. A resolution declaring the Sunbury East New Community Authority to be organized and a body politic and corporate to define the boundary of the authority's new community district, to provide the method of selecting the board of trustees of the authority and fix the surety for their bonds, to appoint certain members to the board of trustees and declaring an emergency. But I'd like to strike that. This is a first reading.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Is this related to what we had the public hearing about tonight?
Yes, it is.
Okay, on the paperwork related to the public hearing, we have a paper that's signed, it's on page 9 in our packet, but it says State of Ohio, County of Franklin. And I'm not sure what the county of Franklin has to do with this.
That's where they signed it.
Oh, okay,
When you're notarizing it, if you're standing in Franklin County,
Right.
when they sign, you put that county.
okay, I got you. Thank you. I knew you'd know.
And to Molly, to your comment, this one is creating a new NCA. It does form a board. This is a first reading. We don't need to act on it tonight, and we need to get people served. So this is for the east side. So this is a new one. We've got kind of our west side, which is the interchange NCA. That's to pay for public infrastructure was related to the interchange. This will be for the east side to pay for public infrastructure that's needed out there in our new limited industrial district.
Something about affixing bonds by the board of trustees that'll be how, some form of payment for these.
Will the bonds be, well, bonds are basically an insurance policy, and usually when somebody's in a position of public trust where they have access to money, you want them to be bonded. The reason is if they walk off with it, then the insurance company pays, reimburses the governmental entity or the nonprofit or whatever it might be. So this is contemplating how that's going to be done. Yes, there will be bonds and they will be have to be purchased. Yes. Lots
It's
going on.
helpful. Yeah, there's a lot in here. Yes, there is.
Yeah, I mean, I can explain it in layman's terms, not legal terms. And so don't hold any of this against me. I'll just say this. There's property that people own and they want to build things on it. And they also want to pay additional charges or in terms of millage. So think of like your tax bill. They want to pay additional millage or have the people they sell the land pay additional millage for a period of time to then pay for infrastructure. Typically, you'll go out, like a city will go out and put a road in or put a sewer line in, or I think of infrastructure is the one that is tangible that you could say, okay, I know this costs $10 million. We need over a period of time. This shouldn't be the burden of the existing tax base for Sunbury to go and put new sewer lines in for
Right.
this particular property. So they say, okay, on my tax bill, I want to form this entity and pay additional millage in small increments over time to pay that. And so it ends up being guaranteed by the property owners. And when the properties transfer from like who's developing it, like taking it through the zoning process, to ultimately the businesses that are on site, every time that property changes hands, this is in like their and Dave, this is where I might need you to help me out, like their covenants and restrictions and their deeds and everything that says, I shall pay this amount in, you know, in my tax bill for this amount of time to pay off the debt. That's it.
As a part of this process, the NCA's form, they request it. First, we agree on it.
Right.
You know, I want to come to Sunbury. It's a great place to be. We want to have you in Sunbury, but you have to pay to come here because we're not going to put the existing residents into a position of tax burden where they have to pay for infrastructure that you need for your development. So we enter into agreements where, just as the name says, they're going to pay that debt service over time. Then we establish the board that organizes that. They're its own political body. They have meetings, they're open to the public, and they deal with things that are related to paying those debts and collecting that money. And then there's a declaration of covenants and restrictions that's filed at the county recorder's office that affects the ground, and it's always there. And anybody who buys the ground can see it. It'll be on their title report, it'll be on their title search. They will 100% know that they've got to pay this charge. But the developers commit to it on the way in. So it's a way to do financing to get development done, just one of those.
And that board is, there's typically 7 members of the board. We appoint 4 of them. The city council, we have the majority of appointing authority, and the developer, in this case, the Sunbury Land Company, appoints 3. And so they're like, it's a balanced governance. But I will say this is where I'm going to get a little bit outside my lane. This board has very strict ground rules. They can't go out and spend the money. Like, this isn't, you know, the millage that is being paid and where the money goes is determined in legal documents. They don't have the authority to go out and say, you know what, we want to go out and spend it on building a park or something like that. It's gonna be like very specific. Money comes from here, money goes to there. Do we have a CPA that is being paid to validate that? That's gonna be their decision, which CPA they use. Is that fair?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's-
there'll be professional staff to support the board.
Funding is always an issue.
That was just the first reading. We're on to ordinances. We have third readings. No, second readings, ordinance number 2024.14, and ordinance accepting a petition for annexation of territory consisting of 298.398 plus or minus acres of land located in Trenton Township, Delaware County, known by Forrest J. Hale, trustee or successor trustee, Forrest J. Hale Living Trust, Marilyn R. Hale, trustee or successor trustee, Marilyn R. Hale Living Trust, and John E. Evans and Linda K. Evans, husband and wife, and declaring an emergency. This is a second reading. We're on to first readings, ordinance number 2024.15, an ordinance authorizing the city administrator to execute an easement to Richard A. Goodrich and Carol A. Goodrich, declaring an emergency. And is there a time-bound deadline on this? And
Yeah, we're looking to have action on this tonight. If you turn to page 62 of your packet, there's a picture. Unlike NCAs, you can describe a lot with a picture. So if you look at the picture, there's a 1.5 story brick and frame cottage on the Goodrich property on Rainbow Avenue. Been there a long time, and it encroaches onto ground that is now owned by Sunbury. We purchased that ground fairly recently, I want to say 10 years ago, by 1.8 feet. The Goodriches are looking to sell the property, and of course it comes up in a title search, and the buyers in the bank and everybody is not too keen on, a building being on the neighbor's property. So they're represented by Ken Molnar out of Galena. He reached out to the city, and we're looking to resolve this issue for the benefit of this property owner. Lot 346 and 347 are what the city owns. We also own behind it. The top of the map is north. And behind that, above that vacated alley, is vacant ground that we own that is immediately south of the reservoirs. So just north of Rainbow Avenue and Sedgwick Avenue, you've got kind of a big vacant area up there. Really 346 and 347 have been thought of as access to that background. We really don't need that 1.8 feet anyway to get a road through there. So this will allow them to market their property and free that as a title objection or a problem for the owners, present or future, or their lender. So this is an ordinance that approves that easement. They're in contract. I think they're trying to look to close next week. I said to Ken Molnar, if you can get me the easement today, we might be able to get it onto the agenda. He got it to me around 2 o'clock this afternoon. So we're trying to act quickly on it. This allows us, there are modifications I need to make to the easement, and rushed and got it out there first. Client did a great job, but we are going to clean it up as attorneys do. So this allows Daryl and I to clean up non-substantive changes to the easement for the benefit of the city prior to it actually being executed and filed. But this is to approve the easement for that 1.5 story brick and frame cottage.
So when we vote on this, does it need to be pending legal review?
It's got it in the
It's in the language?
It's in the language
Okay.
that says we can make adjustments to it as long as I sign it and he signs it.
All
That's
right.
conclusive proof that the language is okay.
Okay.
And I've already got a red line started. I'm gonna fix it after tonight's meeting and send it.
Okay. We're looking for a motion on the suspension.
I'll move to suspend the rules.
Yes, sir. Second. We got a motion by Mr. Martin to suspend the rules and a second by Mr. Capel. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Ms. Strayer,
Yes,
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Ms. Cooper,
Yes.
6 yeas.
Motion on the emergency.
A motion on an emergency by Mr. Martin,
Second.
second by Mr. Capel. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Ms. Strayer,
yes,
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
6 yeas.
Motion on ordinance 2024.15.
Got a motion by Mr. Martin on ordinance 2024.15.
Second.
Second by Mr. Capel. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Ayer,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
6 yeas.
All right, good deal. We're on a new and unfinished business. I'm just gonna lead with new business is get a tune up on the AC unit for the third floor. Then we're on to purchase of municipal building furniture.
Yeah, so this is the item we talked about in the finance committee meeting. So it's basically asking for authorization for the city to proceed with a proposal from Dupler Furniture.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We got a motion by me, Mr. St. John, and a second by Mrs. Cooper. Discussion. Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Ayer,
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
6 yeas.
All right, we're on to Sunbury Memorial Park Rules and Regulations Policy Update. Mr. Hennessy.
Yeah, so this one doesn't need action this evening, but just want to get it in front of you. It's packet page 69. It's the red highlighted portion in the middle of the page. We talked about this as part of the part of the Parks Committee meeting at the last Parks Committee meeting, because Parks oversees the cemetery. And what it basically says is before scheduling a weekend or a holiday burial, that the funeral home or family will coordinate with the city. Sometimes they just assume that because it's listed that it's available, but we've got to coordinate with our service team to make sure that somebody's there to open and close the graves. So, and then it sets a limit for basically that these have to end by 11 a.m. Other cemeteries are doing something similar on the weekends as well. So, any change in the
You just
policy?
said must begin by 11 a.m., but this says must conclude by 11 a.m.
Sorry, must conclude by 11 a.m.
Okay,
Conclude by 11 a.m. Sorry about that.
all right.
Any changes to the rules, but for a change in the foundation fees, comes to the council. So again, we don't need action this evening, but that's what that is.
Thank you, sir. All right, we're on to Mr. Martin for newer unfinished business, sir.
I'm good to go.
All right, Mr. Cooper.
I just wanted to offer my feedback too. I like these maps. It's much easier for me to understand, even when you pull them up there. Like on the auditor's site, these are easier to understand. I do have a question. Do we have a paper shredder or recycle in this building or municipal building for when we're done with these?
We don't at the moment, but we have a very active planning and zoning officer who are pushing hard for a recycling program. So we're going to set that up, I think, when we get up in the new space upstairs. So we will have that. We don't have it at the moment, but if you want to give it to us, I mean, we could take it off site and give it to somebody if you want us to do
I
that.
can take it. I was just, if we had one.
We don't have it yet, but we will before the end of the year.
Thank you. That's it.
All right, I have one item, I wanted to brief with council. I've reached out to, the superintendent about some of the no bus zones, specifically for GRE. I just very briefly briefed Mr. Hennessy on this before council reached out to a couple council members, one of, Pulte, Price Ponds and Rolling Hills, are both now in the no busing zone for General Rosecrans Elementary. There are several, there's no area that has continuous sidewalks yet to those schools. So there's disconnections. And I think based on the way the maps are drawn, it would force kids to walk through construction zones. And the solution that was put in place on Fairland Drive, the asphalt path on one side, it's not feasible at the scale of missing sidewalks and where the build out is. So I have addressed that with Mr. McLean. They are supposed to have an update on potentially those maps shrinking to some degree in the next week or two and addressing safety concerns. He also stated that I think they have 29 bus drivers now. When he started as superintendent, they had 42. They do have a contract negotiation with their bargaining unit this year, but this past year, each bus driver received a $5 increase and they're still not getting bus drivers. So significant increase in bus population ridership and not very many drivers to do it. So rock in a hard place right now. I know that. So They are aware. That's all I have. Mr. Capel,
Nothing here.
Mr. Gum,
Nothing.
Ms. Dre.
Nuts.
All right. Next meeting is July 3rd,
You need to keep a pen.
2024, 7:30 PM. We'll see you there. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Mr. Capel. Discussion. Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Ms. Strayer,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
6 yeas, we are adjourned.